Hello there everybody. Oh, it's been a long time, I know, I'm sorry, I've been bogged down with work and stuff, but it's fine. I'm ready to get back on track and I'm actually going to make a schedule for making videos now because I just can't handle this disorganisation that's happened with me. I don't like it. So, I'm going to start with a little bit of a update and everything. I've applied to university, might have seen a few of my tweets. I've had 3 offers back. Which is so exciting. I've had one from Kent University, I've had one from Royal Holloway, and I've just literally 5 minutes ago got one from Birmingham. So, scary stuff, exciting stuff, but scary stuff. Yeah, so I've applied to do English literature, and I'm really hoping that the others will come through. Also, this isn't really anything to do with anything, but I have quotation marks on my jumper today. I wore it in my English class, which was quite good. It was like a reference in there. My life is really uninteresting. I don't have much else to update you about, but I've applied to university though. So I guess that's really interesting, I think. Today I'm going to be reviewing a essay kind of thing by George Orwell. It is Politics and the English Language. I saw Sona from Books and Quills review this, and when she was doing her work experience at Penguin, they said this was the one thing that she had to read in publishing. I will link that video down below. But I picked this up when I was in London with Katie from Books and Biscuits, and it's tiny. It's really, really thin, and I read it on the train back to my dad's workplace because he works in London, and it was amazing. It's just, George Orwell has such a way with words and such a simple way with words, and this is what this is all about. It is 24 pages long, so it is tiny. It will literally take you about 20 minutes or half an hour to read if you're a quick reader. It's amazing, and it only costs 99p. 99p for this. Amazing. And $2 in the US, I think. Yeah, $1.99. No, that's Canadian dollars, so it's probably even cheaper in America. I don't know how your dollars work. If anybody can explain that to me, just go for it down in the comments. Just explain the Canadian dollar to me. So this little booklet is an essay on the use of the English language. Orwell talks a lot about how nowadays we use really long and convoluted, complicated ways of saying things when really we should just be short, sweet and to the point. He makes so much sense in such a frank way that's just so clear and simple. It inspires me to write more like him, because my writing is often at times waffly, like he was talking about, and he had this wonderful section where he compared two sort of like an no, that's really not articulate, an archaic style piece of writing, there you go, that's a better word, to the modern equivalent of that piece of writing, and it was awful. The modern version was just full of really lengthy words and just beating around the bush and just not doing what it should do. So the language just didn't work as well. And I found it really interesting to see what his perception on this language was. Also, in the back, there is a sort of deconstruction or annotation of Mein Kampf by Hitler by George Orwell, and it was really interesting to see a critique from George Orwell on Hitler's writings, especially because George Orwell is such a political writer and he has so much to say about these political things. It was amazing to read that. It's not necessarily about politics. I mean, there's a few bits in there about how politicians use rhetoric to manipulate people and how language is used, but you don't need to be tomorrow's next House of Commons speaker to understand any of it or anything. It's not really that political. It merely kind of points out the flaws of really flowery, excessively adjective-ridden writing. It just points out the flaws and how much better it sounds if you don't use loads of unnecessary words. My English teacher actually, I photocopied this for her because I thought she would really like it, and I'm a schmooze. So bad. But I photocopied it and she told me that there is a really nice bit in there where it has 5 sort of specific, is it 5? Oh. So the first tip is never use a metaphor, simile, or other figure of speech which you are used to seeing in print. So in other words, don't use sort of cliches or things like the sky was as blue as a sapphire or whatever. Like, be original. The second tip is never use a long word where a short one will do. This is one of my, like, specific things that I do. I try to use long words, like, to make myself sound intelligent, but it just backfires and makes it just lack clarity, just to put it frankly. Third tip, if it is possible to cut a word out, always cut it out. That's the best tip for coursework cutting or anything cutting, like cutting down writing, I have ever heard. If it doesn't need to be there, cut it out. This was a godsend with my personal statement because it's 4,000 characters and it's a lot to fit into 4,000 characters. Fourth tip, never use the passive where you can use the active. Fifth tip, never use a foreign phrase, a scientific word, or a jargon word if you can think of an everyday English equivalent. This is a very, very good one because oftentimes people use all of this technical terminology that other people won't understand and it just makes something a real drag to read. So if you are in doubt about the jargon that is supposed to be used, don't use it. And the last one, which is my particular favourite because it just completely undermines everything, break any of these rules sooner than say anything outright barbarous. That sort of sums it up really. I would highly recommend this book, if you can call it a book. It's tiny. It will take you so little time to read and it will have such a nice impact on your writing. It's had an impact on mine and my writing's just got a million times better after reading this because I just try to not waffle. And it's just such a witty comeback to the excessive use of superlatives and etc. in English language. I think it's like a must read for anyone sort of interested in studying or just interested in English literature and the way the language is used. I just think that it's a very short, very concise, well written little booklet of golden information.